Hi, I'm back. I'll be reading some more from the Bible, and I'm using the reading plan from the Daily Audio Bible app, and I'll be reading for January 24th, 2021. 2021. So I'll be reading Genesis chapter 48, verse 1 to Genesis chapter 49, verse 33. Verse 33. Okay, Genesis chapter 48. Genesis chapter 48, verse 1. Okay. MAN parallels between Joseph and Jesus. Genesis chapters 37 to 50. Joseph chapter 37, verse 3 parallels. Their fathers loved them dearly. Jesus. Matthew chapter 3, verse 17. Joseph chapter 32, verse 2. Shepherds of their father's sheep. John chapter 10, verses 11 and verse 27. Chapter 37, verses 13 to 14, sent by father to brothers. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 11. Chapter 37, verse 4, hated by brothers. John chapter 7, verse 5. Chapter 37, verse 20. Others plotted to harm them. John chapter 11, verse 53. Chapter 39, verse 7. Tempted. Matthew chapter 4, verse 1. Chapter 37, verse 25. Taken to Egypt. Matthew chapter 2, verses 14 and 15. Chapter 37, verse 23. Robes taken from them. John chapter 19, verse 23. Chapter 37, verse 28. Sold for the price of a slave. Matthew chapter 26, verse 15. Chapter 39, verse 20. Bound in chains. Matthew chapter 27, verse 2. Chapter 39, verses 16 to 18. Falsely accused. Matthew chapter 26, verses 59 and 60. Chapter 40, verses 2 and 3. Placed with two other prisoners, one who was saved and the other lost. Luke chapter 23, verse 32. Chapter 41, verse 46. Both 30 years old at the beginning of public recognition. Luke chapter 3, verse 23. Chapter 41, verse 41. Exalted after suffering. Philippians chapter 2, verses 9 to 11. Chapter 45, verses 1 to 15. Forgave those who wronged them. Luke chapter 23, verse 34. Chapter 45, verse 7. Saved their nation. Matthew chapter 1, verse 21. Chapter 50, verse 20. What people did to hurt them, God turned to good. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 7 and 8. MANASSEHNEPHRAIM. Genesis chapter 48. Sometime later, Joseph was told, "Your father Israel." So he took his two sons, MANASSEHNEPHRAIM, along with him. When Jacob was told, "Your son Joseph has come to you," Israel rallied his strength and sat up on the bed. Jacob said to Joseph, "God Almighty, appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and there he blessed me and said to me, I am going to make you fruitful and increase your numbers. I will make numbers. I will make you a community of peoples, and I will give this land as an everlasting possession to your descendants after you. Now then, your two sons born to you in Egypt before I came to you here will be reckoned as mine. Ephraim and Manasseh will be mine, just as Reuben and Simeon are mine. Any children born to you after them will be yours, and the territory they inherit, they will be reckoned under the names of their brothers. As I was returning from Padan to my sorrow, Rachel died in the land of Canaan. While we were still on the way, a little distance from Ephrath. So I buried her there beside the road to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. When Israel saw the sons of Joseph, he asked, Who are these? They are the sons God has given me here, Joseph said to his father. Then Israel said, Bring them to me, so I may bless them. Now Israel's eyes were failing because of old age, and he could hardly see. So Joseph brought his sons close to him, and his father kissed them and embraced them. And embraced them. Israel said to Joseph, I never expected to see your face again, and now God has allowed me to see your children too. Then Joseph removed them from Israel's knees and bowed down with his face to the ground. And Joseph took both of them, Ephraim on his right toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh on his left toward Israel's right hand, and brought them close to him. But Israel reached out his right hand and put it on Ephraim, Phinehas's head. Though he was the younger, and crossing his arms, he put his left hand on Manasseh's head, even though Manasseh was the firstborn. Then he blessed Joseph and said, May the God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked faithfully, the God who has been my shepherd all my life to this day, the angel who has delivered me from all harm, may he bless these boys. May they be called by my name and the names of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and may they increase greatly on the earth. When Joseph saw his father placing his right hand on Pharaoh's head, he was displeased, so he took hold of his father's hand to move it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. Joseph said to him, No, my father, this one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head. But his father refused and said, I know, my son, I know. He too will become a people, and he too will become great. Nevertheless, his younger brother will be greater than he, and his descendants will become a group of nations. He blessed them that day and said, In your name, all Israel pronounce This blessing may God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. So he put Ephraim ahead of Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph, I am about to die, but God will be with you and take you back to the land of your father and back to the land of your fathers. And to you I give one more ridge of land, and to you I give one more ridge of land than two, your brothers, the which I took from the Amorites with my sword and my bow. Jacob's sons and the notable descendants. Jacob's 12 sons were the ancestors of the 12 tribes of Israel. The entire nation of Israel came from these men. Reuben, none. Simeon, none. Levi, Aaron, Moses, Eli, Samuel, John the Baptist, Judah, David, Jesus, Dan, Samson, Naphtali, Barak, Elijah, Gad, Jephthah, Asher, none. Issachar, none. Zebulun, none. Joseph, Joshua, Gideon, Benjamin, Saul, Esther, Paul. Jacob blesses his sons. Genesis chapter 49. Then Jacob called for his sons and said, gather around, so I can tell you what will happen to you in days to come. Assemble and listen, sons of Jacob. Listen to your father Israel. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might, the first sign of my strength, excelling in honor, excelling in power. Turbulent as the waters, you will no longer exhale, for you went up onto your father's bed, onto my couch, and defiled it. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Their swords are weapons of violence. Let me not enter the council. Let me not join their assembly. For they have killed men in their anger and hamstrung oxen as they please. Cursed be their anger so fierce and their fury so cruel. I will scatter them in Jacob and disperse them in Israel. Judah, your brothers will praise you. Your hand will be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons will bow down to you. You are a lion's cub, Judah. You return from the prey, my son. Like a lion, he crunches and lies down like a lioness who dares to rouse him. The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until he, to whom it belongs, shall come, and the obedience of the nations shall be his. He will tether his donkey to a vine, his coat to the choicest branch. He will wash his garments in wine, his robes in the blood of grapes. His eyes will be darker than wine, his teeth whiter than milk. Zebulun will live by the seashore and become a haven for ships. His border will extend toward Sidon. Issachar is a raw-boned donkey, lying down among the sheep pens. When he sees how good is his resting place and how pleasant is his land, he will bend his shoulder to the burden and submit to force labor. Dan will prove justice for his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan will be a snake by the roadside, a viper along the path that bites the horse's heels, so that its rider tumbles backward. I look for your deliverance, Lord. GAD will be attacked by a band of raiders, but he will attack them at the heels. At the heels. Asher's food will be rich. He will provide delicacies fit for a king. Naphtali is a doe set free that bears beautiful fawns. Joseph is a fruitful vine near a spring, whose branches climb over a wall. With bitterness, archers attacked him. They shoot at him with hostility, but his bow remains steady. His strong arms stayed limber, because of the hand of the mighty one of Jacob, because of the shepherd, the rock of Israel, because of your father's God who helps you, because of the Almighty who blesses you with blessings of the skies above, blessings of the deep springs below, blessings of the breast and womb. Your father's blessings are greater than the blessings of the ancient mountains, than the bounty of the age-old hills. Let all these rest on the head of Joseph, on the brow of the prince among his brothers. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning he devours the prey. In the evening he divides the plunder. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is what the father said to them when he blessed them, giving each the blessing appropriate to him. The death of Jacob. Then he gave them these instructions. I am about to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave, in the field of Phron, the Hittite, the cave in the field of Machpelah, near Mamre and Canaan, which Abraham bought along with the field as a burial place from Ephron, the Hittite, there Abraham and his wife Sarah were buried, there Isaac and his wife Rebekah were buried, and there I buried Leah. The field and the cave in it were bought from the Hittite. When Jacob had finished giving instructions to his sons, he drew his feet up into the bed, breathed his last, and was gathered to his people. Matthew chapter 15. Matthew chapter 15, verse 29 to chapter 16, verse 12. Matthew chapter 15. Matthew chapter 15, verse 29. Jesus heals many people. Mark chapter 7, verses 31 to 37. Jesus left there and went along the sea of Galilee. Then he went up on a mountainside and sat down. Great crowds came to him, bringing the lame, the blind, the crippled, the mute, and many others, and laid them at his feet, and he healed them. The people were amazed when they saw the mute speaking, the crippled made well, the lame walking, and the blind seeing, and they praised the God of Israel. Of Israel. Jesus feeds 4,000, Mark chapter 8, verses 1 to 10. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away hungry, or they may collapse on the way. His disciples answered, where could we get enough bread in this remote place to feed such a crowd? How many loaves do you have? Jesus asked. 7, they replied, and a few small fish. He told the crowd to sit down on the ground. Then he took the 7 loaves and the fish, and when he had given thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples, and they in turn to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. Afterward, the disciples picked up 7 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate was 4,000 men, besides women and children. After Jesus had sent the crowd away, he got into the boat and went to the vicinity of Magadan. Leaders demand a miraculous sign. Mark chapter 8, verses 11 to 13. Matthew chapter 16. The Pharisees and Sadducees came to Jesus and tested him by asking him to show them a sign from heaven. He replied, when evening comes, you say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red, and in the morning today it will be stormy, for the sky is red and overcast. You know how to interpret the appearance of the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs of the other times. A wicked and adulterous generation looks for a sign, but none will be given it except the sign of Jonah. Jesus then left them and went away. Jesus warns against wrong teaching. Mark chapter 8, verses 14 to 21. When they went across the lake, the disciples forgot to take bread. Be careful, Jesus said to them. Be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees. They discussed this among themselves and said, it is because we didn't bring any bread or where. At their discussion, Jesus asked, You of little faith, why are you talking among yourselves about having no bread? Do you still not understand? Don't you remember the 5 loaves for the 5,000, and how many basketfuls you gathered, or the 7 loaves for the 4,000, and how many basketfuls you gathered? How is it you don't understand that I was not talking to you about bread, but be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees? Then they understood that he was not telling them to guard against the yeast used in bread, but against the teaching of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Psalm chapter 20. Theme: a prayer for victory and battle. Such a prayer can help us prepare for any great challenge. David knew that trust should be placed in the Lord more than in human power. Author David, the events in 2 Samuel chapter 10 may have prompted this prayer. For the director of music, a psalm of David. May the Lord answer you when you are in distress. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you. May he send you help from the sanctuary and grant you support from Zion. May he remember all your sacrifices and accept your burnt offerings. May he give you the desire of your heart and make all your plans succeed. May we shout for joy over your victory and lift up our banners in the name of our God. May the Lord grant all your requests. Now this I know, the Lord gives victory to his anointed. He answers him from his heavenly sanctuary with the victorious power of his right hand. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. They are brought to their knees and fall, but we rise up and stand firm. Lord, give victory to the King. Answer us when we call. Proverbs chapter 4. Proverbs chapter 4, verses 20 to 27. My son, pay attention to what I say. Turn your ear to my words. Do not let them out of your sight. Keep them within your heart, for they are life to those who find them, and health to one's whole body. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Keep your mouth free of perversity. Keep corrupt talk far from your lips. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or the left. Keep your foot from evil. Okay, that's all. Bye.